So, Happy New Year to everyone, although it's a little belated. New Year. We make a big deal about the New Year, don't we? You know, all over the world, everyone's celebrating. In fact, previously, when I used to work for the government and I was involved with the New Year firework display one year. It was organised by my department, and literally it cost millions of pounds to do that on the South Bank, all the fireworks and everything. But really what is, you know, it's a kind of arbitrary marking of a division from one year to the next. But and of course everyone makes their New Year's resolution. But every day is a new year, actually, you know. When we wake in the morning and we're, you know, here. It's like life is a gift. And especially this human form of life is a very great, rare gift, actually. According to the knowledge that we've found in the Veda, accordingly there it mentions 8,400,000 different species of life in the world. So, and of all of those 8,400,000, a very small number are human beings. We're the minority, actually, you know, but we've become the dominant species in the world. But human life is a rare thing, and it's not something that just happens by chance. There is a kind of evolution, conscious evolution, from one species to another until we reach the human form of life. And the human form of life is unique in as much as we're given the capacity to ask questions. You don't find that in any other form of life on this earth. Everyone just acting according to their nature. And but human beings, they have a particular kind of consciousness. And with that consciousness, we can search for the purpose of life. In the animal forms of life, they're not thinking about what is the meaning of life. They're just thinking, where is food, where is shelter, where is sex, where is all of those, you know, things. We also have those things in common with the animals, but we can utilize our intelligence. We have a discriminating factor. This is good, this is bad, this is something which is helpful to me, this is something that will not be helpful to me. So we have this kind of discriminating nature and questioning nature. And for a spiritual seeker, the first question is, who am I? It seems like a simple thing, but very difficult to define. Who am I? So we can analyze that, and most of us may come to the conclusion that I'm the conglomerate fusion of all of my thoughts and actions and opinions that I've formed over my life. But all of those things are changing. As we find that, like, people don't remain the same in their thinking even. So like every 5 years or so we get a new government, isn't it? You know, why is that? Because people change their mind about things. You know that everyone thought, oh yeah, the Tory government, they'll sort out the problems in the country, and voted for them. And then they thought, oh no, they're not. They've made a right mess of it. Now we'll vote for Labour, and they'll sort everything out. And now everyone's thinking, not sure if that was a good idea either. But so that means that that as human beings, also our thought is always changing. So we're not that. We can't be defined by what we think, what our politics are, what our you can say acquired conceptions and acquired prejudices that we've built up in our lives, our opinions that we've heard from. No one has an original thought. Everyone's borrowing the thoughts of others. And so we are influenced by, our environment. But we're trying to navigate that environment to find satisfaction. Everyone is searching after some kind of satisfaction. You can say pleasure, actually. We're all pleasure seekers. That's the nature of all life, actually, is to search for some pleasure. But we're always thwarted in as much as that pleasure is always is transient and often comes with some reaction to it. This was Newton's law, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So that's a law of physics, but it's also a law of life, in fact. Everything we do has some consequence. That you can say in a simplistic way, karma. Everything we do will have a consequence, either in this life or in a future life. As you sow, so shall you reap. This is the law of karma. It's true, what people say, what goes around comes around. So, then we might think, if I strive to just do good in the world, then that will be the best course of action. But you see, who determines what's good and what's bad? We kind of base that on the mass decision. So most social thinkers, they realize that we can only do the best we can do is the greatest good for the greatest number. And that means that somebody necessarily must suffer as a result of that. As they say, one man's meat is another man's poison. So, to do the best that can be done for the majority means that some minority must suffer as a result of that. That's just the way it is in this world. So that's also maybe not the best course of action that we can do. In Śrīmān Bhagavatam, which is the scripture, the last scripture of Vedavyas, who compiled the Vedas. The Vedas means the knowledge of ancient India. The word Veda means to know. It's an invitation to us, or an exhortation to us. Know, should know. what is truth, and that's presented in the Vedas. So previously, in previous ages, the human beings had a very refined intelligence, and so there was no need for books. Previously, you could hear something once and remember it completely, without any deficiency. So, in this, now we're in what's called the Kali Yuga, the age of Kali. Then, if somebody has that ability, they call that eidentic memory, and somebody has like a photographic memory, they're considered like savants or something like that, like extraordinary person. But in previous ages, everyone had that ability. Hear something once, remember it forever. But Vedavyas, who is considered to be the literary incarnation of Krishna, he could understand that in Kali Yuga, people's lives are very short and troubled. So, in previous ages, people had much longer lifespans. But in this age, we're thinking that, we're sort of in the age of enlightenment, that we're discovering new things all the time, but it is not actually the case. We're in the a stunted age, the age of Kali, considered to be like the Iron Age of man. And the typical symptoms of Kali Yuga, this age, is that everyone's short-lived and everyone is always in trouble, and there's always conflict and hypocrisy in this world. There's not one of us here, from the youngest to the oldest, who's lived one day when there's not been some war being fought in the world, isn't it? Somewhere there's a war going on somewhere, and has been since we were born, and will continue after we die. Somewhere. This is typical of the age of Kali. Everybody is fighting with one another to establish themselves, to establish their country, or to establish their political point of view, or whatever it may be. It's all fighting. And at the same time, everybody short-lived. Most people won't live to be 100 years old. If you live to be 100, you'll get a telegram from the Queen or from the King now, but saying congratulations. It's considered a big thing. I saw they interviewed this lady. She's 104 years old, and they asked her, so every year, do you get a card or telegram from the Queen? She said, yes. But it's the same one every year. Just, same rubber stamp or whatever it is they send every year. But so anyway, that's considered like a big thing if you live to be 100 years old. So, and especially as you get to approaching to that, your memory gets worse. And most people in Kali Yuga, their memory not very, very good. We can say that what did I do like a week ago? We have to really kind of search our mind to be able to remember that. What to speak of no even question of understanding, like what was I doing a year ago today? Can't remember. No one can remember. And as you get older, that gets worse. You walk into a room and think, what did I come in here for? You have to trace your steps back. Oh yeah, that's what I came for. And I experienced that. I can start to do something on my computer, and I think, just sitting there and thinking, what was it I was going to do? Started, and then I can't remember what it is, 5 minutes later. So, short-lived And there's always trouble in this material world. There's a song. Only 3 things for sure: taxes, death, and trouble. And this is the case, right? We can expect these 3 things: taxes, death, and trouble while we're alive. So, everybody's trying to live a happy life. Nobody wants to be unhappy, but unhappiness comes. Something happens, right? You're all going along, zippity-doo-dah, it's a great day, the sun's shining, everything's good, and then, bam, something happens. You didn't want that to happen, but some, tragedy comes in your life. Everyone will experience that in their life at some point. Some unhappiness, whether we want it or like it or not, and everyone trying to avoid that, but it is unavoidable. And at the same time, everybody is a hypocrite. The people who are meant to be our, leaders, they're all hypocrites. Almost without exception. I saw on the television, they were making an interview when Boris Johnson was the Prime Minister, and he went to visit a school, and the pupils are asking some questions. They were allowed to ask some questions. And one little girl, maybe 5, 6 years old, she said, "Since you've been, in your political life, have you ever told a lie?" And all of the people that were there, including Boris Johnson and they all started laughing because they know. And then he said, "No, I've never told a lie in my." And then they laughed even more, so because everybody knows that's what it means. So being a politician, you just lie all the time. You say one thing, then do another thing. That's a hypocrisy, to say one thing and do another thing. And these are the people that we trust with our lives. We vote them into office as servants of the people. Just self-serving and dishonest. So according to the last Vedic sage, his name was Karabhajan Rishi, and he says there that when the leaders of society, when they lie to the people that they serve, this creates a disturbance in the ether, and the results of that are epidemic diseases. By polluting the ether, makes all of these things arise up, like COVID and all of these things. We see that it's more to not so much to do with people eating bats in China, but more to do with our leaders lying to the people. It makes the environment polluted. It pollutes the environment, and we see so many diseases now in the world, isn't it? Every day is a new one. Oh, this week it's monkey virus, or this week it's whatever it is. These are all results of our leaders deceiving and lying to the people. So this is the nature of Kali Yuga, is told that more or less everything is inauspicious in Kali Yuga. But one good thing, one good quality is that simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord in kirtan, then the highest attainment can be achieved. That was previously very difficult to achieve. According to the Vedic version, there are 4 ages of mankind that revolve in a circular way, like the seasons. So we have winter and spring, summer, autumn, like that, and they revolve one after another. So the ages of mankind, they also revolve in that way. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. 4, and all 4 together consider one Mahayuga. And they're always revolving. So the golden age of man, in the golden age of man, the Satya Yuga, people were only interested in self-realization. In Satya Yuga there wasn't even marriage. There was no necessity for marriage. Everyone lived a very long time according to the Vedic scripture. Generally people lived like 3,000 years. And during that time they spent all of that time trying to perfect themselves spiritually. That's the Satya Yuga. Then Treta Yuga is considered like the Silver Age. Then in Treta Yuga, then marriage was introduced, because then seduction came into the world. Not previously, not there, but in Treta Yuga it came. So there was the institution of marriage and family life and so on. And their method of self-realization was through sacrifice, different kinds of sacrifice. But that kind of sacrifice was not possible in this age. So they would do even what they call Gomeda sacrifice. That means cow sacrifice. Cow is considered sacred in the Vedic religion. But that sacrifice was performed. The priest they would sacrifice the cow, an old cow, and then as the result of the sacrifice, cow would get a new body and come out rejuvenated, not die in the fire. So that is, if you tell somebody that, they'll say that's impossible, and it is impossible in this age, but not in previous ages. It was not impossible. And in previous ages, the priests, they're like the ABC. First thing you learn as a priest in the previous age was how to light the sacrificial fire. They don't need a lighter or a box of matches, but by mantra. They can tell mantra and fire will come. If you can find somebody that can do that now, you'll think like they're a god or something. But that was like the first thing. Can you light the fire? They were taught as young boys how to do that. And what to speak of just lighting the fire. All of the sacrifices were performed perfectly. Excuse me. And through that, people achieved high levels of spiritual realization. Then in Dwapara Yuga, the last age before this, the process of self-realization was temple worship. Now the gods and goddesses were worshipped in the temple, but in a very precise and pure way. So for example, if you would offer one flower to the god or goddess in the temple, it would be offered on a gold plate. Pure gold, 24 karat gold, or if there's anything purer than that. And then it would be, they wouldn't wash that plate and use it again. It would be discarded, used once and discarded. So you can imagine, like here we have, 3 offerings on āratis every day, and other temples more. But here 3, so 3 solid gold plates every day. After a week, you'd be bankrupt. Our temple would be bankrupt. Less than a week. But that was the standard in that age. You can imagine what kind of opulence that people had in that age. Not to speak of that age, even in this age. I remember reading the biography of Gayatri Devi. She was the Maharani of Jaipur. and her ancestor was Jai Singh, and famous king who designed the city of Jaipur. If you've ever been there, it's called the Pink City, and it's all designed according to the Vedic principles, in alignment with the stars. So anyway, I read her biography, and she's like a friend with King Charles when he was Prince Charles, and they living there, everything. And then she told when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, she reduced the wealth of the Rajas, the kings of Indian kings, and they gave them a purse. So they were given like an allowance for their living expenses, but all of their wealth was taken by the government. And she says in that biography, she was a little girl, and she said, I saw my father for like 1 week. They're taking lorry loads of gold bars from his treasury for a whole week. You can imagine like how much wealth he had. And she said, well, I'm watching he's watching with her, them taking the gold away in the trucks, and he's laughing. And she asked him, Father, why are you laughing? And he said, oh, that's just what they know about. That's just what they know about. So, anyways, such wealth was there. She also mentioned in there one friend of their family. He was not a Raja, but a Muslim ruler of another area. But he was a friend of theirs, of their family, and said when he died, they found in his in the lining of his clothes, like his coat, gemstones, like precious gemstones. And she said that when he was alive, when he was visiting, the people of his kingdom, he used to just keep pockets full of gems and give them to randomly give them to the people that lived there. And they found all of this wealth just in the lining of his coat after he died. Anyway, this kind of wealth. But generally, we don't have that kind of wealth in Kali Yuga. So it is not that you can perfect your life by meditation in Kali Yuga. I saw it somewhere, maybe on Facebook or somewhere like that. It said, seven habits of successful people, or 10 habits of successful people, and one of those was they meditate every day. And then it said, what's the optimum amount of time that you should meditate every day? 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Not 3,000 years like they did in Satya Yuga. 7 minutes, that'll do. So this is not possible, by yoga or meditation that you can achieve self-realization in this age. You can't perform sacrifice. In fact, animal sacrifice is forbidden by the Veda in Kali age because it's just killing. And not by temple worship. They say that in Vrindavan, there was the temple of Radha Govinda, and when the Mughal king Aurangzeb, he was the ruler of India, and he made his capital in Delhi, and from his palace every night he can see this light in the distance. What is this light? It used to annoy him. Where is this light coming from? So he sent some ministers or soldiers or something to go and find out where the light came from. He came back and it said, they told him, that light is from Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is about maybe 90 miles from Delhi, 80, 90 miles. And what he could see every night was that in the temple of Govindaji, they're burning ghee, a ghee lamp, so bright that it can be seen all the way from Delhi. So anyway, he sent his soldiers to demolish the temple. That was one of the things that Aurangzeb was, I won't say famous, infamous for, was destroying Hindu temples. But Govindaji, he is Krishna, and means the deity of Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan. And he told his priests, "Oh, Aurangzeb is coming, take me to Jai Singh, in Jaipur." So he went there, and before he arrived, Krishna appeared to Jai Singh in his dream and said, "Oh, you've made a very nice city here, according to, astronomical Vedic principles from the Dhanurveda, everything done perfectly, in alignment with the universe and the stars and so on. But you made a mistake. That you made your palace the center of the city. So you made yourself the center of the city, but I should be the center of your city, not you." So then in the dream he told him, "So make a temple for me in the grounds of your palace, I'm coming." And when he woke next day, then he did. He built a temple in the grounds of the palace of Jaipur. And in a few days after that, Govindaji came from Vrindavan there and was established in that temple, and he's still there to this day. And then Aurangzeb went to Vrindavan and he demolished the Radha Govindaji temple. Maybe like 4 floors he demolished of that temple. The remains of it are still there, you can see today if you go to Vrindavan. But the original Radha Govindaji, they went to Jaipur. And Jaipur was could not be conquered by Aurangzeb. He conquered everywhere across India, but he couldn't conquer Jai Singh city, because the city was surrounded on 3 sides by mountains and by many walls in the front. And also inside the city, inside the walls of the city, was agricultural land. So the city was fully self-sufficient. They produced enough food that they could stand a siege of 15 years without having to source food from outside. So and although Aurangzeb attacked the city many times, he couldn't defeat Jai Singh. He called Jai Singh the lion. And of course, Singh means lion. But and Radha Govindaji, they were established there. We went there a few years ago, and on a pilgrimage. If you think that Vaishnavism is just a minor religion, if you go to the temple of Govindaji in Jaipur, you'll see that it's not the case. We were there during Kartik month, and it seems like everybody in the whole city goes to Mangal Arati in the temple at 4 o'clock in the morning. They go there, and when you go there, and it's just like an ocean of people coming there to see Krishna, to see Govindaji. It's absolutely remarkable, and you have to be careful not to get carried by the crowd. There's so many people there. So it's a very beautiful place, wonderful place. And not only Govindaji, but many of the deities, murtis of Vrindavan, they went to Jaipur. You'll find many temples with the original deities of Vrindavan there. Anyhow, so not by meditation, not by deity or temple worship, and not by sacrifice. None of those things are even properly possible in this age. But in Kali Yuga, special dispensation has been given through the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. This is called Sankirtan, and this was ordained and begun by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we consider to be the combined incarnation of Rādhā and Krishna as one. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he began this divine process of Nama Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. And we are followers of that. This temple is directly coming in the line of Sri Chaitanya Dev. And our main worship in this age is Nama Sankirtan. So this was before, as I say, in previous ages, people would hear something and remember it forever. But in Kali Yuga, you can't even remember, like what were you doing half an hour ago. Then Vedavyas, he understood that the scriptures, they must be made into books. Previous to that, there weren't any books. Wasn't any necessity for books. But in Kali Yuga, if you don't have a book, it may be lost forever. That knowledge may be lost forever if it's not written in a book. So Vedavyas, he compiled the Veda. He's not the author of the Veda, he's the compiler of the Veda. The Veda, the four Vedas, and Puranas, Upanishads, Itihasas, etc. They were all made into book form by Vedavyas. But when Vyasadeva finished that task, he felt some dissatisfaction inside. He thought, this was like my divine purpose, and I've completed that. So why am I not feeling the satisfaction that I should feel from doing that? Understanding that, his guru, the guru of Vedavyas is Narad, Devashi Narad. And he came to his ashram, and Vedavyas put to him, I've done all that I was meant to do, compiling all of the Vedas together and making them into written form, but I'm not feeling satisfaction. Why is this? And Narad told him, yes, that's why I've come, because I know that. So you can imagine when Vyas finished compiling all the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic literature, he himself was at the peak of his own spiritual realization. And Narad said to him, so what you've done is very good, but actually what you've created a jungle of knowledge there. If someone is trying to navigate that, to find out the absolute truth, they're going to be confused, because different scriptures say different things. You know that, you've compiled all of that. One scripture saying that Narayan, he's the supreme. Another saying Mahadev Shiva, he's the supreme. Another saying, that the worship of Indra, that's the supreme. Another one saying the realization of impersonal Brahman, that's the supreme goal. So many different versions. So how is anyone going to navigate that? How are they going to understand what is the actual truth? So he said, you have hinted at it here and there, but you have not told it directly. So what you have given so far, you have given it in a general way. So, and all religion teaches these general principles, which are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So every religion teaches that. Hindu religion, Christian religion, Jewish religion, Islam religion. They may not use those terms, but they all teach that. That you do your dharma, so you practice your religion. And when you do that dutifully, then God will be satisfied with you. You'll get ārata, dharma, then ārata. Ārata means prosperity. You become prosperous. And from prosperity, you'll get karma. Karma means pleasure, sense pleasure. And then finally, you'll get moksha. So dharma, artha, karma, moksha. Moksha means, liberation or heaven or whatever it is, the idea of that in your particular religious conception. So you've taught that, Narad told, you've taught that. But actually, that's not the whole picture. You've only given so far the general thing. But the ultimate thing is, what is the actual purpose of existence? That you have not given. And that is Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema is the actual goal, desirable goal of human life, above all those other things. So, it's described that God is Satchidananda Vigraha. Everyone heard that, Satchit Ananda. So Sat means that eternal, Sat, eternally existing. And Chit means knowledge, understanding. And Ananda means bliss. So God is considered to be the embodiment of those things. Satchit Ananda Vigraha, the embodiment of that. And each one of us, as individual souls, the individual soul is also described as Satchidananda in its essence, the same nature as God. But if we examine that, we can say, yes, Sat, we can admit that, Sat, that we exist, we know that. We exist and we feel we are part of the eternal existence. And Chit means we are aware of our existence. As Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. So the fact that we are aware of ourselves, our own existence, that's Chit, knowledge. But Anandam, where is that? We are all searching for Anandam, for fulfillment. Ananda means fulfillment, bliss, ecstasy, pleasure, so many different meanings. But ultimately it means like fulfillment, Anandam. And so our Guru Maharaj say, Ananda means the soul's food. Like we have our food, our body needs its food. But the soul residing inside our body, that also has an intrinsic necessity of food. And the food of the soul is Anandam, ecstasy. But we are not finding that. We are lacking that. So, Narad told Vyasadeva, now you begin and write your own work, your own treatise, based on your own inner spiritual realization. I'll give you these 4 verses, and you, by meditating on those, all of this will come out, and make that, compose that scripture. And that scripture is Śrīmān Bhagavatam. So Śrīmān Bhagavatam, or the Bhagavad Purana, it is also known as the Amala Purana. Amala means spotless Purana. That nothing that is superfluous to the understanding of spiritual life, you won't find that there. You won't find anything superfluous there. Right at the very beginning of Śrīmān Bhagavatam, in the first few verses, Vyasadeva says, this scripture you will not find any kaitabhya in this scripture. Kaitabhya means cheating. There's no cheating here. Only the pure, essential, spiritual truth. Our Guru Maharaj said, Srimad Bhagavatam is the junior most of the scripture, but with the senior most thought. Because Vedavyas, his own realization, he's percolated through him, and he's given expression of that through Srimad Bhagavatam. It is the last of the Vedic scripture, but the most important. Because there, very clearly, right from the beginning, it is told that the fifth end of life is the attainment of Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema and Anandam means the same thing, actually, As we are searching for Anandam, every one of us, but we're always looking in external things, thinking that we'll find satisfaction in external things, in our family, in our job, in our house, in our car, in our 60-inch television, or whatever it may be. We're thinking that these things will give us satisfaction and happiness in life if we have all these things. But it is not true. You will only find Anandam if you go within yourself. You won't find that in anything outside. There may be some pleasure, of course, but that's like a transient, flickering pleasure that we find in the material world. Something that starts off like nectar and ends as poison. That's our experience in this world. Right? Like maybe you have a favorite restaurant where they prepare your favorite dish, and you go there, with your family, you're all excited, you're going to get that, and you have that, and you get the enjoyment from that, whatever it is. But then that feeling is overtaken by, now you're full, you're feeling bloated, and so someone else will come up to you and say, would you like that again? That thing that gives you so much pleasure, your favorite food, would you like it again? No, thank you. Just the idea of it now makes you feel nauseous, doesn't it? So that's what the you can say, bliss or enjoyment that we find in this material world. It starts off being like wonderful nectar, fantastic, but then when it's over, it gives us like a stomachache. We can't face it anymore. That very same thing. No thanks. No, I don't want that. So, and that's also our experience everywhere in this material world, right? So, everyone's looking for their soulmate, right? So then maybe you find that person, my ideal partner, they say, like, you complete me, like together, you complete me. And then, of course, when the reality is, now I never realized, I thought he was my, perfect man, but he never puts the cap on the toothpaste, he never puts the toilet seat down after he's been there, he makes that funny noise when he's eating, really irritate, that very thing, okay? Now then, I love you, I love you, I love you, then it becomes like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And if that isn't the case in your life, and you are lucky enough to find, you can say, your soulmate, your ideal partner, still, at some point, death is going to finish that relationship that you have. That person that you love with all of your heart, then when their spirit leaves the body, you can't stand to even be in the room for 5 minutes with that dead body, can you? So the same person is there, but something's gone, isn't it? You can't bear it. I can't even be in the same room. I don't even want to look at that person anymore, because they're not there anymore. They're gone. And that which you loved, you kissed, you adored, you holding always, and finding so much pleasure, now completely revolts you. This is the nature of everything in this material world, is only transient. But if you can connect with your real self, with your eternal self that is within you, if you can actually connect with that person, our Guru Maharaj said, the golden you that's within you, if you can meet your own soul just once, you'll feel ashamed. Oh, I had such a low idea about who I was. I was thinking that was who I was. Now I met, my golden self, my true self, my spiritual self. It's so wonderful, so high, so noble. And that's just you. What to speak of then meeting God? So this is the path to awaken that person within you. Now, more or less, we're all asleep. The spiritual part of our nature is more or less asleep. And so with this kind of misconceived self, we are trying to navigate the world, and we're trying to make relations with other misconceived people. Then our relationship's only going to be superficial. I don't know who I am, you don't know who you are, but we're going to make some kind of union together. Two lost souls don't know each other at all. We only know the external part. But there is a way to understand your spiritual nature. And that is through the awakenment of the self, through the chanting of the Lord's holy names. Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev inaugurated this, and he gave us 8 verses from his own pen, you can say, is known as Shikshastakam. And the first one, Chaito Darpana Marjanam. That means that it gives the 7 phases of the result of chanting the holy name of Krishna. The first one is that it cleanses the mirror of our consciousness. So we are conscious beings, but we can't see our own self. And there are examples given like a mirror covered with thick dust. When you look in the mirror, you can't see anything reflected there because there's so much dust on there. So first of all, you have to clean the mirror, and then you can see your reflection. So, in a similar way, by the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, we cleanse the mirror of our consciousness. We clean the mirror of our consciousness, and that means you can perceive your own soul. The soul can see itself. It has the capacity to see itself. And this is the first result of the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, that you get to understand who you are by direct perception, by directly perceiving your own self. It's something like when you're very hungry, when you take some food, then 3 things happen automatically. Your hunger is dispelled, and you get strength, and you feel satisfaction. No one needs to tell you, okay, you're nourished now, you can stop eating now. Yeah? You know automatically, it's something that you know intrinsically. Yes, I took some food, now I feel satisfied, now my hunger is gone, and I feel nourished. So similarly, when you realize your own self, nobody needs to tell you that. It is intrinsically, you will understand that. It's like when a boy, examples given, a boy who lived his whole life in a cave, never been outside the cave, then someone comes in and says, "Oh, let's go and see the sun." And the boy will say, "Okay, I'll get a lantern and we can go and see the sun." No, you don't need a lantern to see the sun. Are you mad? I know, I've lived here my whole life. You can't see anything unless you've got a lantern. You have to, the lantern will show. No, come with me, forget your lantern. He takes the boy outside of the cave, and then the boy will see, oh yes, I don't need a lantern to see the sun. By the light of the sun, everything is shown to us. So similarly, by the light of the soul, we perceive everything. We perceive the world. Although in our current stage we cannot see the soul, but what we perceive is by the light of the soul. Just like when on a cloudy night you can't see the moon. The moon's covered by the clouds. But by the light of the moon you're able to see those clouds, isn't it? So similarly, our soul may be covered by so much material, you can say dust or dirt or whatever, but by the very light of that soul, we're able to perceive the world. So generally we say, we think that the sun is the cause of our sight, of our seeing, of our being, but actually it is the soul which reveals everything to us in this world. And when that dirt is cleaned from the, you can say, mirror of our consciousness or the mirror of our soul, the soul, yourself, is able to perceive itself. This is one stage of spiritual awakenment. And then more deeper revelation comes through that practice of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Understanding not just that you are soul, but what is your actual purpose? What is your real identity, your Swarup, your intrinsic spiritual identity, not just in a vague way, but in a specific way. And the chanting makes you become fit for connecting with that eternal service world. So here we're living in the world of temporary things, but there is an eternal world where everything is existing eternally, and we can also live there by connecting there. By connecting there, and nothing of this world will affect you anymore. You will not be affected by birth, death, old age, disease, all of these things. They're just going on the surface. But who understands and can perceive their own self, none of those things can touch them. None of those things can affect them. Then, in the third verse of the Shikshastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the key to the success of that chanting. And it is, for us, as the practitioner, most helpful to us. Trinadapi sunichena taroriba suhishnana ammanina manadena kirtaniya shadahari. That means one is to practice, if you wish to be able to chant the holy name of the Lord purely and constantly, whether awake or whether asleep or whatever, that chanting going on continually within you, you have to practice to make yourself fit for that. And that practice is by humility, by practicing humility and by practicing tolerance and by giving honor and respect to everyone and not expecting any honor or respect for yourself. Who can do that? They can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly and purely. And what kind of humility is being told? Humble like the grass. Grass is the most humble thing. And when you stand on the grass, it doesn't push back. So our nature is worse than the grass, because although Krishna wants to come to grace us through his holy name, we push back. No, I don't want that. I have my own plan. I have my own idea. And tolerant. What kind of tolerance? The example's given, tolerant like a tree. The tree is the emblem of tolerance. You can carve your name in the tree, you can chop off its branches, or you can even cut it down. It doesn't protest, and all the time it still gives the shelter, the shade. Even to the person cutting it down, it gives it shade, it gives its fruit and leaves and so on. So tolerant like a tree. And then to give honor to others. That means to understand that everyone is spiritual by nature. Everything that has life is spiritual. And therefore we should try to honor that as part of the creation of God. And to honor every living being as the children of God. And to show honor to them, honor to everyone, respect to everyone. And by doing so, even if they're not respectable, they become respectable by that activity. And you also reap the benefit of that. But at the same time, conversely, you must not expect any honor or respect for your own self. Because that's the opposite, the antithesis of humility, is to think that we are important. And we do, every one of us thinks that we are singularly important. But why? How can that be so? That in this universe, this tiny universe, which from our perspective is more or less infinite. In relation to us, this universe is infinite. But it's described in the scripture that there are so many in the creation, so many universes. And it's told, like a mustard seed in a sack of mustard seeds, our universe. So if you're coming from the market with a sack of mustard seeds on your back and a few fall out, will you stop to pick them up? You won't. It's so insignificant. And that's our universe is described like that. One mustard seed in a sack of mustard seeds. But still we're thinking we're so important, each one of us. Oh, don't you know my qualifications? Don't you know who my father is? Don't you know how much money I've got? Don't you know? All of these things, when we think this is our how we can measure who we are. But it's a foolishness. It's called ahankara. Ahankara means the ego, but misconceived ego. Everyone has ego. Ego means identity, who you are. But now we've assumed a misconceived ego. We're thinking that we're the body, that we're the mind, that we're our thoughts, that we're all of the things that we've developed in our life. That's who we are. And our family, and our country, and our society. And we identify with all of these things that make up who we are. But that's all ahankara, misconceived. Because in a moment that can change. So we have to try to understand what is our actual ego, what is our actual position in life. Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev he's given this, we find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, his biography. There he says, Naham vipro narapatir napi vaisho na shudro naham vani na chagriha na vanastir jatirva kintu prajan nikila paramananda punamritabde gopi bharta padakamalayo das anudas. That means, I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not a Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. I'm not a Brahmachari, I'm not a Grihasta, I'm not a Vanaprastha or a Sannyasi. Then what am I? I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the ever-expanding ocean of ecstasy, the master of the gopis, Lord Krishna. That's my actual identity. That's who I am. And when Mahaprabhu says, das anudas, that's not like a poetic expression or hyperbole, but actually the real thing. That is the real truth. Servant of the Lord's servant. That is our position. Jai. We are to try and connect with that ego, with that identification of who we are. We are Krishna Nitya Das, the eternal servants of Lord Krishna. When we understand that, then we can make a real progress in spiritual life. Our real spiritual life begins with this realization that everything is part of His creation, and all of His creation is meant for His satisfaction. It says in the scripture, not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. And at the same time, only He understands what the purpose of that is. Everything has a purpose, even the movement of a blade of grass. But we can't understand why, what that means. But He knows. So everything is in the creation is meant for His satisfaction. And we are also part of His creation. So that means we are also meant for Him. Now, this is the beginning of spiritual understanding. That I am for Him. I am for Him. Not that He is for me, but I am for Him. You know, like the John Kennedy, JFK, the President of the United States at one time, he said famously, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask instead, what can you do for your country? So paraphrasing that, our Guru Maharaj would say, don't ask what can Krishna do for me, but rather ask, what can I do for Krishna? This is the proper attitude. Not that God is just there as our order provider, you know. I want this, I want that, I want everything. Please, Lord, give me this, give me that, give me health and wealth and a cottage by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hari. Not that. But the other way. How can I contribute to your satisfaction, Lord? His satisfaction, that is my reason, raison d'etre, the reason we exist. And maybe that's a little bit of a bitter pill. Well, what about me? I thought it was all about me. I thought I was the center of my own universe. I thought I was the number one in that equation. But no, He is always number one. And when we understand that the fulfillment of our life, of our purpose, is to give satisfaction to Him, then our real spiritual life will begin. So, what are the details of that, and how and in which way I am for him, that is the adventure of discovering our spiritual identity. We all have a unique part to play. It sounds mad, doesn't it? That so many of us, tiny living beings, but each one of us has an intrinsic role to play in satisfying him, satisfying the Lord. Finding out what that is, that's the real adventure of spiritual life. Developing that. So our Guru Maharaj used to say, first deserve, then desire. So first thing means make yourself fit to understand that. And when you are fit for that, that will be revealed to you. What is your actual purpose? In which way you are meant to be for him. That make yourself, our Gurudev used to say, make yourself a proper receiver. So just like now, right, in this room or everywhere around us, there's all kinds of things being broadcast on radio waves. A couple of 100 years ago, if you told somebody that, they'd lock you up in a mental asylum. But that's the truth, right? That's all that's here. And all you need is a receiver. You can receive. You tune it in to that station. You can listen to whatever music you like, country and western, rock and roll, Indian classical music, whatever it is. There's a station for it. You just have to have a proper receiver. Tune it in, you can hear it. But without that, we can't hear anything. It's not real to us in any way. So similarly, the news of the spiritual world is always being broadcast everywhere, all around us. We only have to make ourselves a proper receiver for that. And that's by chanting the holy name of the Lord with humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. Then, when we are fit, then all of those things will naturally come to us. It is our birthright. It is not, no one is barred from that, but it is available to everyone. Only there is a process and a way of approaching that. So this is what we learn from our masters in Krishna consciousness. This is the purpose of Krishna consciousness. This is the purpose of this building for us. Why do we have this building? Why do we have these classes? Why do we have all of these things? So that these teachings of our gurus can be shared with everyone. And it is actually our ability, the gift of our masters to be able to connect with the real plane, the plane of reality. And sometimes people say, wake up to the reality, the harsh reality of life. But we don't believe that reality is harsh. We believe that Krishna is reality, and Krishna is reality, the beautiful. So reality is beautiful, reality is dancing, and reality is waiting for us to connect with him. So we would like to invite everybody to take this process of Krishna consciousness very seriously, and try to give some attention in your life for that, so that you can attain the supreme benefit of your life. The supreme benefit of your life is nothing that you can aspire for in this world, but it is the awakening and connection with the real world, with the eternal world. That will give us our real and ultimate fulfillment. So this is my request to everyone today, to try and think about this seriously. And so thank you all very much for coming and being so attentive. And does anyone have a question regarding this? Or otherwise we can stop for today. Okay. So now we will have ārati, and then can take prasadam. So thank you very much, Jai Vishnupad. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhagya ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari.
Devashis Prabhu ki
Jai Sri Guru Gaurāṅga Rādhā Giridhārījīu ki jai. Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Vijayadvaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Nandana Braja Paranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vatana Hara Rasara Tika Kripamoya Gopi Vatana Hara Rasara Tika Kripamoya Shri Rādhā Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Bhakti Yoga Shri Rādhā Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Shri Rādhā Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Bhakti Yoga Bhakti Yoga Yashamati Nandana Braja Paranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Jai Sachinandana Suramuni Bandana Baba Baya Kandana Jayo Hey Jai Hari Kirtana Nartana Vartana Kali Malakatana Jayo Hey Nayana Purandara Vishwarupa Sehadara Vishambara Vishwera Kalyana Jai Lakshmi Vishnu Priya Vishambara Priya Hiya Jai Priya King Gaurāṅga Sri Sita Advaita Rai Malini Sri Bhakta Jai Jai Chandra Shekhara Jaja Jai Nityananda Rai Gadadhara Jai 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 Haridas Namacharya Jai Nityananda Rai Gadadhara Jai 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 Nityananda Rai Gadadhara Jai 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 Haridas Namacharya Jai Haridas Namacharya Jai Satinandana Suramuni Bandana Baba Baya Kandana Jayo Hey Murari Mukunda Jai Premanidhi Mahajai Jai Jata Prabhu Parishada kripa Mani savatara payada mere kripa Bhakti sapachada Prabhupada Bhakti sapachada Prabhupada Jai Sacinandana Guru Muni Manana Bhava Bhaya Kandana Jayo He Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Jai Gaura Premanande
Jai Sabri Karti Guru Sundar Giridhārījīu
Jai
Jai Śrīmān Devashis
Jai
Paramahansa Parivaricharya SCSMath West London Swami Maharaj ki
Jai
Jai Paramahansa Parivaricharya Bhakti Yoga Swami Maharaj ki
Jai
Paramahansa Parivaricharya SCSMath Bhakti Yoga
Jai 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 Jai
Sri Chaitanya Saraswami Acharya Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Nitai Gaur.
Go, Premanandi. Oi.
Yeah.
Must be.
Yes.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणताक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणताक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे प्रणताक्लेशनाशाय कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणताक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. कृष्णाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणताक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणताक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल. हे मेरे नाथ मेर करना कृपा करना चंदना न भरवाना न शून्य सम्मान अपने चरणों में त्याग भक्त मेरे भी विचरण मेरे गुरु महाराज जी की हिदायत चरण त्याग आदि पुण्य सर्वगति मेरे प्राण सीता मुताई न करे हमारा तिम्यो मेरा आत्मा को तेरे तू ही मेरा पिता तू ही महाराज सब कुछ तू ही बंधु सखा. हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि. जय जय नारायण नारायण हरि हरि. जय जय नारायण गुरु गुरु महाराज
Krishna always looks